The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Hub Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Les Hub Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Hub, craft your own footprints.
The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Six minutes past 8 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karohanga. It is a Thursday, the 6th of April 2023. We are starting the second quarter of this year. As you all know, we have the Commissioner in charge of the Youth and Children Affairs in the Ministry of Genders. That is Mr. Mondo Kyateeka. We're going to be talking to him up to around 9 a.m. We want to find out everything that is, in the ministry in terms of preparing or assessing the youth preparedness in building a sustainable and development in Uganda. So ladies and gentlemen, that is what is going to be our focus of discussion today. Mwebale mwenna batwekumiddeko olunaku luno olwaleero mbaaniriza nnyo ku The Mighty Drive Show. Amanya nze Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Lunaku lwakuna naku z'omwezi mukaaga omwezi tuli mu gwakuna omwaka 2023. Mwenna gye musinzidde okubanga mutwegasseko enkya y'olunaku olwaleero. Mighty Drive egguze era nnina omukyala gwe bayita Lilian Luwede mu studios gwe tugenda okubanga tuweereza naye nga tuli mu kubuuza omwami Kyateeka ekino na kiri ku biki ebigenda mu maaso mu Ministry of Gender and of course tulabe engeri gye tusobola okubanga tuteekamu abavubuka abaffe okubanga bazimba Uganda gy'osobola okugamba mbu enaaba ennungi oba enaaba ey'amaanyi abaana baffe mwe basobola okubanga bakulira. Tubaaniriza nnyo mwenna musobola ogenda mu comment section zaffe page eri at the Alternative Uganda ku Facebook ne ku YouTube gye tuli at the Alternative Uganda era ne ku Facebook osobola okutusanga ku Digitalk TV era nawo wetuli mpola okubanga tubaweereza. Lilian Luwede osuza otya nnyabo?
Nasuze bulungi Edgar.
Obulamu buli butya?
Obulamu si bubi. Yeah, I would say obulamu si bubi. Mukama tumwebaza. So nange njagala kubabuuzaako yonna gye musinzidde okubanga mutulaba program The Mighty Drive nga munange Edgar bw'aginnyonnyodde saagala kubanga nnyongerezaako bigambo bingi nze Omumbejja Luwede Lilian era nga munange kutegeeza nti tuli butereevu tuli butoola ffenna okutuukira ddala ku ssaawa 4 ez'akalasa mayanzi. Saagala nnandage nnyo ng'omugenyi waffe yamaze dda okubanga atwegattako so kamwanirize alamuse kuba tulaba ate n'oluvannyuma tugendere ddala mu maaso nga bwe kiri nti olunaku olwaleero lwakuna ate ng'omugenyi gwe tulina mu studios akola ku nsonga z'abavubuka n'abaana so ze nsonga ezo ze tugenda okubanga twogerako so gwe alina ky'oteesa ky'owabula tukiteekeyo butereevu mu comment section tugenda kubanga ate endowooza zammwe tuzisoma n'ebibuuzo tugenda kubanga tubiweereza omugenyi waffe olunaku olwaleero omukulu Mondo Kyateeka so katulamuseeko ate n'oluvannyuma tugende ddala mu maaso. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Lilian, and good morning, Edgar Matthew. And good morning, all of you listening to us. Ndi musanyufu nnyo okubeera mu studio eno olunaku lwange olusookedde ddala era nsuubira nti nno tujja kwogera ku bintu bingi abantu bajja kwongera okutegeera nga bayita mu kubuuza era nja kuddamu ebyo byonna byensobola okuddamu byesisobole kuddamu nja birekera Mukama Katonda.
Amina. Tulina abali mu kutulaba olunaku olwaleero kuliko Brooke Williams, Kikomeko, Patricia, Jemix Pro, Victoria Collections. Mwenna bannange mutambuze video eno egende eri buli kasonda ka Facebook n'emikutu emirala ku Twitter nako kwetuli tuli at The Alternative Uganda. Mr. Kyateeka tutandikire ddala mu nsonga. Ministry of Gender muli muti eyo emirimu gigenda gitya muweereza mutya bannayuganda?
Emirimu gitambula mu ngeri oluusi akasoobo oluusi speed okusinziira ku resources ezibeerawo tusobozesa okukola emirimu naye tugezaako okulaba nti tukola ekyo ekisoboka nga ministry eya central government ekisinga tukakatako byebintu ebikwata ku policy ebintu ebikwata ku mateeka ebintu ebikwata ku guidelines n'ebintu ebikwata okubangula bakozi bannaffe okusingira ddala abo bakola mu district level ne other lower levels but also okukolagana obulungi ne National Youth Council tulina National Youth Councils in this country okuvira ddala wansi ku village level okutuukira ddala ku national level era kitukakatako okubeera nti abantu abo ababeera mu Youth Council tukolagana nabo bulungi wabeerawo ekyetaaga technical advice ne tubeera nti nakyo tukwatagana so ebyo basically bye bitukwatako nga at central government level but also wabeerawo programs ezijja ng'ate zitwetaaga okuba nti tuzidesigninga okubeera nti we popularize them and I'll be giving some examples of such policies that are existent but also others that are in the pipeline. Basically our duty is to ensure that there is technical guidance on issues pertaining to youth and children. Of course, as a ministry, it's wider than that because tulina abakadde, tulina abakyala, bano baliriani noli omukyala yaganya okumbulira erinnya lye n'abalala nga abalema abakadde tulina issues to do with labor tulina issues ezikwata ku community development tulina issues ezikwata ku kikula ky'abantu bonna mu Uganda. So the ministry is bigger than just youth and children. But youth and children is a very important component of the ministry structure because of the numbers involved. We are talking about 78% of all Ugandans are below the age of 30. And the definition of a youth in Uganda is 18 to 30 years. But then there are children who are from zero. We say zero because from the time Lillian conceives, we start counting that that's a child. That's a child. And so from 0 to 17 point, no and they are 56% of the population of Uganda. So if you wanted to ask what should be the most important ministry in this country, it should be the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development because of the workload. 78% is not a cup of tea.
Another 56% practically.
Yes, so that's the 78. Because 56 plus 21.3, that's what we are talking about. So it's a big cohort of the population of Uganda. And this is where we need to put a lot of resources. And as I said, sometimes to color, they all lose resources.
But when does it feel like the resources, it is not really a priority to prioritize bavubuka sente? Many people have said some of the things you have brought up programs like the parish development model, but the youths are really not benefiting from these particular programs on ground. What may be the challenge?
The challenge could be sometimes the youth themselves, their civic competence, their capacity to stretch out and reach out to programs that are there. I always talk about that one of the problems of the youth in this country is the entitlement mentality. that you think ebintu bijja kusanga woli. No. In the world will reach out. You don't stay put where I am and you say Edgar nze byange bijja kunsanga wano. I mean, the most educated population in this country are the youth.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I always give you an example. When I was growing up, the things we are, they were not there. We had our one cast station,
Yes,
UBC, and Uganda Radio. That was it.
And it even at the time you can switch it on and even switch it off.
Lunchtime, they would go, they say katuumulemuko. And so they would go. You know, Sam Kagwechiro, nga bayimba national anthem, nga baleta curtain za gwoni flag ya Uganda, nga bivuddeko. Nikati mwe musobola okulaba radio, n'olaba TV, ngo shifting from one station to another. You can stay on radio from morning up to the other morning. A lot of information is being poured out.
Yes.
Are young people finding time to listen, other than just listening to reggae? You like reggae music, you like a lot of other things. Abakyala abasinga balina obuntu bwabwe bwe mulaba obuzannyo tebakamisinga naye nga wayinza okubeerawo program Lilian luwedde gyaleese agenda kwogera ku bintu bituzimba naye ogenda n'olaba ng'oli aswitchize off bitutawaaya. There you go. You know? So the issue is, have youth positioned themselves to seek knowledge and apply knowledge to enrich themselves? That's what we are fighting with. The moment they do, that's why they say PDM tetwokideko. Not every program that has the name youth is the program that belongs to youth.
Youth livelihood program.
Yes, specifically.
Yeah, abavubuka.
Yeah, but can quick example. At 18, somebody is an adult.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
So in Amanti, there's a program called Operation Wealth Creation. There's no word youth. Does that now stop Edgar from accessing? When Amanti, okay, this program is about NADS. It's a national program. At the moment you are 18, you are an adult.
Yes, sir.
What stops you from partaking of that program? Now, you want me to comment about the Youth Livelihood Program. I'm still one of those people who are convinced that the Youth Livelihood Program has been a big success. It has only been hindered by the introduction of PDM, where a lot of resources have been shifted to PDM and left us with skeleton resources to continue with the program. But next time you invite me here, I'll come with testimonies. I'll come with people who borrowed money from YLP and they used the money to make their own money, paid back, and they are now rich people. They are people, I'll give an example, Western Uganda, where we come from.
Yes.
Where people were, many of them were borrowing money and they went into cattle fattening. I didn't know the concept of cattle fattening until when somebody says, this is my business, I do cattle fattening.
Yeah.
I said, what is this? They buy cows that are malnourished, if there is such a word for animals, during the dry season when they are not well fed, at giveaway price. Somebody from Nakasongola, other than losing his cows, they're about to die because there is no grass. He doesn't have capacity to feed them. There is no water. So Edgar comes, he buys them at maybe 300,000. Take bulinte. Nazitwala. Nazigenda naziteka mwana mujimu mwana mujimu nazirisa maybe okumala emyaka 2-3 ente akali akate nefuuka ogute kati katugambe agituze 2 million.
Yes.
What's that profit in there?
Yeah,
so these people were able to pay back. There are people, young people who are applying between Uganda and China and Dubai. They borrowed money. There's one I stood as a guarantee for some reason, and borrowed money, paid back the money, and went on. The stories are many. But of course, there are those young people who, when they try for the first time, and maybe they ask him, oinendaga muntu. do you have an LC letter? Bintawanya. You see, ebintu byonna mu nsi byetagamu some level of some guidelines, of some strictness, otherwise twandisanze sente zigenze mu bantu balala. So nze kinategeera nti Edgar oli below 30 and you are the person I'm targeting. Without you having some level, anything akakwogerako. And this is what some people don't want. But those who persist, who are serious, actually receiving abantu abali serious, what are serious? There's nothing we get at the first asking. If, for instance, I wanted to present my manifesto to Lillian, I present the first time, you reject, and I just give away. Then you say, "Really serious."
By the way.
But you see,
Yeah.
but if I persist,
Mr.
so sagala kukirizaganya namwe wokozesa blanket statement nti abavubuka tebafunyemu. The number of youth abafunye mu youth livelihood program. There are a number of youth abafuna mu youth venture capital fund. But I'm saying, let's not stick just on the nomenclature that we only go for programs okuli ekigambo ki okuli youth. Mwe mukola wano. And oku station waliwo ekigamba nti this is a station for youth. Naye temukolawo. And all these things came as it's another strategy by government, by the way. Liberalization of the economy, depending on the school of thought where you're coming from. Liberalization has done a lot to provide jobs for the young people. Let me explain. And I'll go back to the radio where I started. That there was only one radio station, one TV station. How many radio stations are there now? There are around 300. TV stations are about 80, 90. Majority of the people who work on these TV stations, right from the DJs, Bosangayo, Yenkana Mondo, are better misplaced. Majority of the people working in the different radio stations are youth.
Yes.
The radio stations, you must be a youth.
But
Alex, but time catches up with you, and so you give way. And so there are lots of young people employed in the media, via the media houses.
Yes.
But also, liberalization. When I was growing up, they used to talk about Uganda hotels. I don't know whether you people are young, you may not remember. But there were a few hotels, like in Jinja, that's Crescent Cream Hotel, like in Soroti, there was a Uganda hotel, like in Gulu, there's a Uganda hotel. Those big towns,
yes,
they had Uganda hotel. So hotels then were in the hands of government. With liberalization of the economy,
private sector took over.
Private sector comes in. It was opening up the economy to the private sector to invest. And it was a deliberate strategy. Yeah. Now, none, including you, to mind how many hotels are there, just in Machideuka.
Mr. Kyateeka.
So those are two. Let me mention another. Yeah. The housing sector. Without liberalization, the housing sector again was in the hands of the government. Yes. That's how Koto flats, these other flats you know of.
Yes.
This government realized that at the rate of human being production by Lillian and Edgar, you cannot provide all the housing needs of the people. They opened up the housing sector. Do you know how many flats people have put up?
Yeah.
And do you know who makes the brick?
But does that reflect?
Do you know who makes the brick?
Mr. Kyateeka.
Do you know who does the piping?
Yeah.
Do you know who does the electricity?
These things you're talking about are really nice. No. But at a time like this, in a moment like this, one would say, China byali baddewo ku kaseera kano mu 2023 nti hotels zaali baddewo ezo abantu bagezezaako kubanga beekulaakulanya naye ate kyewuunyisa we are seeing the development, but does this development reflect in the young person's pocket here? like okay flat sales or you get the liberalized economy and the jobs that we are getting, but at the end of the day okyetegereza abaana sente tebazisigaza muno. We still have people who are living on less than $1 a day. Atenga abavubuka nga akeera mu kibuga n'ayiriba naye ng'oluusi n'ekyo okuleeta kifunye n'addayo ewaka. Sometimes the development you are talking about may be there, but is it really reflecting among the youth you are leading? And then maybe the other question I would like to pose to you is you get the consimbi zino nti abeetegese bazifuna naye ate tulabye cases nyingi nga you just find people just collecting each other. Oli afunye opportunity, maybe I'm meeting a one Mr. Kyateeka who has a connection to maybe the parish development money. N'agamba funayo abaana 12. So oli n'akubira mikwano gye mwenna mujje baba wa sente buli omu n'akola ki n'ajjako ezze ne bagenda. And you've heard recently ndoza mbadde muli amawulire nga they are complaining that abantu bwe tuwawa sente z'emyoga tebazisasula bo bamanyi sente zaabwe. So mu mbeera eno yonna olowooza how the second question, how are we going to deal with this disbursement okubanga abantu tubawa on merit oba n'abantu betuwadde bavubuka bano betuwadde ensimbi zino tubayigiriza sente zino bazikozesa ki kuba basinga bamanyi kwekubako nfuufu obawaddeyo obukadde bwabwe beekubeko enfuufu bagende.
That's political gymnastics.
Yes, sir.
It's the politicians, sometimes from the opposition, who mislead the young men and women to say sente zino Museveni abagula kumulonda. The fact of the matter that this is money which is supposed to be revolving. I'll give an example of YLP, which has been under my docket.
Yes.
That the money, if Karuhanga borrowed the money,
yes,
and you pay back, Lydian will be able to borrow
the
that
same
money.
Yes.
And so the money will continue. Once you break that circuit, then the flow will be reduced.
Exactly.
The amount of money will be reduced. And so that also hinges on the discipline of the young people. That you know this money you have borrowed, they have not given you for God's sake. Because they know themselves internally that they signed even papers to show that they were borrowing the money. Where do you get the indiscipline to now believe somebody else who is telling you what do the papers that you signed say?
Omanyi kiva kuki nti n'abantu olina okukolayo ka kickback ku muntu eyakuconnectinze, and we know this is the reality on ground. Oli loan officer naye ajja kusainingako ojja kumuwaka akakadde maybe mfunye obukadde 10.
I have no comment on that one because our system was that report any cases of fraud. That why do you, Edgar, a person who went to school, you know that you have borrowed 5 million. Why do you accept 4?
Anti katona ino kukubide pase kuisaawo amangu.
Exactly.
Boba tuyagala kuisaawo boba tuyagala kuwa kickback tebagenda kuisaawo.
You report to the nearest authority. This country is one of the most over-governed countries. At every level, there is a point of reference. There is an RDC, there is a DISO, there is a PISO. Why don't you, if you know you are doing the right thing? Because it looks like now obo inabyo okoze byomanyi nti si bituufu. Naye obo manyi nti I'll give an example.
Yes, sir.
If I wanted a passport as Mondo Kyateeka, I know I'm a bona fide Ugandan and I'm entitled to a passport. Why must I buy my way to get the passport? Why must I corrupt somebody? Because it takes two to tango. The giver and the receiver, you are both corrupt. So don't tell me it is the other person asked. Even you, Lydian, who is giving, you are also compromising the ethical code of conduct of this person. And both of you should be charged as such. Then 2, the issue of, I don't know, Edgar and Lydian, you are both below 30.
Yes.
When you are working here, do you get some money?
Yes.
So why do you get some money? And why do you keep your money? And why doesn't Francis somewhere not keep his? Again, it comes to the discipline. And maybe that's where we could have erred a little bit. That we need to accompany this money with a lot of financial literacy. That we teach young people how to manage the money. We have been doing it, but I think we need to hype it. all those soft skills of how, you know, if you get the money, how much you should keep and for how long, how you should not waste it. But you see, young people, not that they don't get the money, but I think they still live in Merialero, that's one. But also two, to say, Nenchange Dakora, Njakufuna said,
Nchari mavubuka.
Nchari na mani, Sirina Abaana, Kati mbona bonirachi. So, nagenda,
Tulia chivubi.
Kaufunye, nga teziweddewo. Abamu tebadde na waka. Ayinza okuma waka kukyusa ngoye, n'addayo n'akikuba. Afunye obusente. Buli mwala gwalaba. And I ku sente. Why sente ziwogana? And you see, that's the other thing I have as a problem.
Yes, sir.
Sente tezagala ziwoganira. Ate abantu abasinga okufuna ababeera nti alinamu akasente katonotono bakamakinga ne kawogana. You've heard of some young men and women here in this country. And I don't want to mention names because I can't be sued without their permission. But you have seen of some girls and boys who used to go in bars and they just throw money around. I will not mention names.
For me, I will mention Brian White.
Kati wewebuuza bali ludda wa right now. Yeah? Bali ludda wa. Waliwo omulala yasomerako college school.
Papa?
Soka yagenda napangisa oba ku Sheraton for about a year. A hollow floor. He's a young dark girl guy. He disappeared. Why is it that still has his money, but he does not go to the bar and throws it around? Why don't we see Wavamuno doing the same? I think so is a deal in Samansa. So njagala kutegeeza abavubuka sente tezagala ziwoganira. But you should also learn how to obuzibu bwofuna mungo bwoyita mungo ozifuna kati mwe mwakedde waliwo abeebase kati mwakedde ne mutuuka wano muze kola. So obuzibu bwoyita mungo ozifuna tomala gazijala banja n'ozisusuulasuula nabona bwala bukwana kasita ziggwawo ng'atambulamu teyajja kufumbirwa bwavu. Bakiriza bonna.
Mr. Mondo, don't you think abavubuka tebafunye kubangulwa kumala ku programs zino eza government? Okubangulwa kuno kwentegeeza nti ne mu matendekero gye basomera program trainings zino oba okusomesebwa kuno gye kwalitandikidde olinavayo ng'akimanyi nti okay ne muvubuka naye nsobola okuganyula mu programs zino eza government. Ekyokubiri ensoma yaffe yo yennyini parish development model ekwata ku nsonga ez'enjawulo era nga n'emu ku nsonga gye basinga oteekako essira eri ku bya bulimi n'obulunzi. Naye ate nga mu masomero oli tafuna kubangulwa ku nnima na nnunda nnungi oba na butya bw'ayinza kubyenyigiramu. Ffe mu ssomero batusomesa ayinza bw'otaba looya obeera dokita obeera ki, so oli afuluma nga bwongo obwo ekyo kyekirimu. So don't you think mwetaaga okuddayo ku ground wali abaana bano babangulwe okuva eno wansi mu masomero gye basomera okutuuka ate bwe bagraduating ne bafuluma?
Kyova olaba Lilian nti waliwo commission ekuliwa owekitiibwa amanya Noah Mushega. They are reviewing the education system. They are going to come up with recommendations of what it should be, what will work better for us. And this commission, you can also appear as young men and women from the media and give your views. Muchirapa mutya, tuchuse muchichi. They are doing that. And even right now as I speak, there are already reforms that say oku implementing. I have my acting last bond is in senior one. And there has been a change in the curriculum. They were telling us how it's going to be. It's going to be more practical. They are going to do continuous assessment.
Yes, for the whole year.
For the whole year. It's not just the exam that you sit for about 1 hour, which depending on all you have done for a year.
Yes.
So there are reforms in there. But also, seriously, we want to integrate what we call the soft skills. There's a book I was reading the other day that says what is not taught in Harvard. There are so many things that we don't study in the university. And that's how we are getting a problem with young people, that yomusanga nga tasobola na kuyimirira na addressing abantu. Empapula ziba zibuuka mu ngalo kwegamba alina audience flight. Nosanga oli nga tasobola ku expressing himself or herself. Nosanga oli tasobola na kuandika application letter. Nosanga oli tasobola ku sustaining a discussion for more than 10 minutes. Mu lulimi lw'oluzungu lwe twagula obuguzi. You know? Naye n'omusanga nga ne mu Luganda. Reasoning yengi. So the issue of critical thinking, capacity to present yourself, capacity to know that you are a product. As individuals, you, her, me, we are products on sale. What is your brand? What's that will make you saleable, and you transfer your services from here to perhaps to NBS? Yes. It's you, the individual. It's you, the Edgar Matthew, and how you have branded yourself. How you present yourself, how you reason out. Somebody will fetch you out and leave somebody else. Okay. Because people are looking for a brand. And so I'm saying that every young person, especially once you finish university and you're on the job market, you should know that you have to make yourself a brand that will be looked for. Okay. Over and above that, we are initiating what we call a national service scheme. We had wanted it to be a national youth service scheme, but we had so many forces. They said even those who are not youth, they will need things to do with the service scheme. A national service scheme is normally a mandatory training that you enroll for after a certain level of education. I'll give an example. You remember when the NRM party had just come, they used to take people to Chankwanzi. Yes. And then people said, you know, it's indoctrination, you know, it's this and the other. Well, it could have had some of those issues. But in countries like Ghana, in countries like Kenya, Korea, China, they take you, and with us we had proposed that period after senior 6. There's that period that youth are so redundant.
The VAC and
the VAC balirianya olusi obwononekera ne bafuna embuto olusi ne bafumbirwa abalenzi abafunyemu akasente during the vacation abatayagala nawo kugenda for further nonya sente nze nazo ziraba
nazo zifuna
so abamuna atagena na ku university
ngala tikitika sa ngenda ku university kunonya sente nze already nzirabi Lilian afunye ekisajja kimutaddeko sente ngamba ebyokusoma nange bibadde bintawanya kangene n'ekisajja so twagala kukozesa that period initially that's what we wanted that abaana bano babeere ku that training where you do community service where you learn to understand the country. Edgar, I'll tell you, there are people who were born where you were born and have never crossed Karuma. The way they look at the world is encouraged. Bamanyi nti buli omu alunda ente, bamanyi nti buli omu abeera n'akaggo, bamanyi edda mwabera n'obuyumba obwo bwegundi obwo.
Ngamanyi ensi ekomaawo. Bangi nnyo ne kati bakyaliyo bangi bannayuganda abasinga n'okusinga.
That's what I'm saying. And equally, you could find somebody who was born, now you get to know where I'm born, who was born in Jinja. So I come from Eastern Uganda. So born in Jinja and has never crossed the Nile to come to this side of Kampala. So this Musoga person looks at the world like it's Musoga. And you know, make matters worse, now that there are universities everywhere, he's born in Jinja, he goes to a university in Jinja, gets married to a Musoga in Jinja. So all of them. And so the scheme opens up young people's minds to understand the country called Uganda. Because sometimes when you tell people that this country is gifted by nature and nurtured by nature, and it's the power of Africa, and it's a very beautiful country, it's green all the year, some people don't understand. But when you compare with other countries I've been to, you find a country and you're looking down and everything is brown.
Yes, go to Ethiopia, Kenya also to some extent.
Do you know that Kenya 20%, it's only 20% that is arable?
Yeah.
And 80%
Uganda is arable.
For us, 80% is arable. It's only 20 that is where you cannot grow crops. So this country is beautiful, but are we taking it for granted? Yes, we are. You'll find an Edgar here who has never planted a tree in his life, but he has massacred a number of trees. You go to a country like Seychelles, you know, the fact that you have bought a plot of land does not entitle you to cutting the trees you find in that portion of land. If you have two, it will be only to the extent that it will not allow you to build your house you want to build. And in any case, you'll have to go to Deborah. Is she Deborah? Chisaka. To ask for permission to cut down that tree. Wow. So issues of community engagement, understanding your country, having love for your country, all those are inculcated through a national youth service scheme. Let me tell you the other is the issue of knowing the national symbols. We have the national flag, we have the coat of arms, we have the Uganda anthem, all those are national symbols. But, including us in this room here, when I tell you, and I will not tell you, that sing for us the national anthem from the first stanza to the last one, there will be chaos. But even when you sing, do you understand the words? And that's the most important.
But the words no longer reflect the Uganda we are in today, if you realize it. They are no longer, because the Uganda
the land that feeds us.
The land that used to feed us is now the land that is draining us.
So who has tampered with its incapacity or capacity to feed?
Someone mentioned Museveni. Someone has just mentioned Museveni, and I felt like maybe...
You all ran away. Which village were you born in?
I was born here in Zambia.
This one has got me. She's a city born.
Yes.
But Karuhanga, definitely, you are not born around here. But you left, even when you didn't have a job, you trekked all the way to come to Kampala. Yeah. With all the land that there is in Ankole. With all the so many cows to look after.
Yes.
So labor has shifted from where it is required to produce the food, it has come to ride border borders in Kampala.
Yes.
You can get lost in a forest of border borders and you say, where are we going? Younger boys are selling the land that they inherited to buy border borders, and so they deny the villages labor to produce food. We have said
because omwana ayinza okukulira ewaabwe nga balinayo farm ssente balinayo ettaka we balimira naye bw'akula n'atayagala kukola kiri ekyavangamu ssente ezaamuwerera n'ayagala akola ekintu ekirala.
Lwaki wekiba nti kyekyakusomesa era taatawo ne mama wo bwe bajjanga ssente gwe n'okiddako n'okitunda n'ogenda ogula boda sandyagadde to blaming government. Because at certain level, as adults, you have also to be rational. And that's why I put the issue of critical thinking as part of the soft skills, critical planning as part of the critical skills. And I'm not saying that all these are imparted when people go through school. I've seen young men and young women who is sleeping in a rented muzigo, but he got some money and he buys a Benz. Because of these people, you have to impress these people. Avuga motoka ki. But is that the priority? Is that the priority? So, I agree. Yes, abamu tebagaziza abaana baabwe bintu bye bakola. We are saying that every parent should teach the children what he or she does. Where does he get the money? Yeah? If he's a farmer, don't leave children in the house and you go to the farm. You drive 80 kilometers, you go to Jinja, and you have left the children in Chira sleeping. You come back with matoke and they think matoke are produced in the store. They think the milk comes from the fridge. That's not proper parenting. So there is also things that the adults are guilty. We are not saying it's only the youth who are guilty. There are things that the adults must take on. That's why you find there are people who have built their empires, economic empires, and the moment they die, the empire
cannot continue.
Collapses.
Yes.
Because the children were not initiated into the business.
The business itself.
But also the children themselves, because you see, now you're kwagala. Now the people kadde bagenda ku farm. You know, picking a canovo. They were ku veranda. Why don't you say, Mommy, I want to go with you people? Put on your gumboots also. You're a bit awanya. Nzo kulima. Kulima kwa peasants. They don't want that to happen. And so, there are so many things that we can do. A lot of things have gone wrong. Also, a lot of things have gone right.
Yeah,
can we build on the strength of the things that are right, but also correct the wrong ones?
Okay, let's talk also about Mr. Kyateeka, the issue of prioritization. Government. Amazima ddala omwoyo ogugaggawaza bannayuganda gwe mulina. Why am I asking this question? All the programs you have brought, at least for the last 20 years, that are helping in building household incomes, as you have always mentioned, helping people, become better. Most of them have, first of all of them have come on the same script. Tufune sente, tubawe, bagaggawale. Nezo nabiganyo kole emyoga tulabye zali it did not work. Bonna bagaggawale, it was mad with some inconsistencies. Operation wealth creation bagamba it is just a gift that was given to an individual to just get something from him. Parish development model ne sente tetunatandika zidisbursinga
bazibba
already batandise okubanga bazibba. Omwoyo amazima yeno method enaakola okujja bannayuganda mu bwavu yeno method gye tulaba enaakola ate tugambe yese egenda kukola naye ate sente ze mutaddemu mazima ddala muzitaddemu kubanga mwagala bannayuganda bakulaakulane kubanga otunulya ebintu ebirala sente ze bataddemu kati for example which is not bad, I'm not criticizing it, but defense, right?
It's okay
how much money
if you criticize positively, if you criticize
no, even negatively, no, it's called critique.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If
yeah.
you are criticizing in a manner
yes.
that will make the programs be better,
okay.
That's appreciated.
Yes, so
it's okay.
So sente ze tuteeka comparison development model no comparing n'ebintu ebirala bituteeka mu sente olaba priority yaffe tulinga abakasuka okwejja kugamba katubaweeyo trillion emu practically esobola okujja bannayuganda bonna mu bwavu ate ne wetutuulyawo na global scale tukoze method eya PDM tugabe buli muluka gugenda funa million 10 naye ate tutuwaze ebintu nga dynamics ezenjawulo nti nga jenva ogenda san constituency erimu abantu 13,500 right naye ogenda mu constituency ya Medad Segona erimu million nga 3 that means omuluka gumu guyinza obeeramu abantu ng'emitwalo 5 oba 3 kati aba5 obawadde million 10 naffe ab'13,500 otuwadde million 10 so is it practical at the end of the day nga tulabya mu Ngeri so omwoyo gwa programs nezijja bannayuganda mu bwavu omwoyo ki gwennyini gwe mulina
on the issue of numbers vis-a-vis the money given we are having census next year.
Yes sir.
And so the census will be able to inform us on the correct numbers of who is where. Right now whatever you're telling me is based on hearsay. It's a gamble. I can't confidently take your word that your muluka guno gulina abantu weguti because we have not carried out the census.
Yeah, but we can agree that the numbers are not the same.
Let's do of course they can't. So let's wait for the census. That will inform us and that will inform the decision of government to say okay, now other than taking parishes as parishes, let's take them according to the people who are living there. And let there be variation. That can be done. When a program is initiated, it doesn't get initiated as a perfect program. It becomes perfect through the critique that people make. Now that government is listening, that can be addressed and say, you know, emiruka jonna tejenkana. And so can we go in terms of population? That population weight accesses this amount of money. But as to whether when the government is investing money to fight poverty, whether ekitegeeza what ekitegeeza, nja kugamba nti ekitegeeza. Let me tell you, poverty anywhere, this is one of the ILO principles, poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. Wobeera n'abantu nga baavu around you, everybody gets scared. Two, somebody else said that in Africa, the poor people don't sleep because they are hungry.
Yes.
And the rich don't sleep because the poor are awake.
hungry.
Because the poor are awake.
Yes.
You know, nobeera n'ekikomera nga kino kyemulina ku gundi ya mwena. Namugambye nti, is this the bungalows? And nagamba, no, that word bungalow is bigger than where we are. But that's a discussion for another day. Nga owulira abantu boogera wabweru. You can't catch sleep. However much you would love to sleep. So poverty is a concern of everybody. And also for security reasons. Wobeera n'abavubuka bangi nga baavu.
Yes, sir.
They can easily be lured by M23, whatever, those rebel groups. It's easy to lure them. So government is serious. But government sometimes gets messed up by the people, sometimes who are implementing. It can be an individual. But also the politicians who politicize every development program and put other names. Where government is saying it's money for borrowing. Oinagamba, no, saying bazibawadde. And you know, sometimes we also deliberately use wrong words. Tino sente za Museveni zawa abavubuka. Tabawa abawola ku sente za government. That people should. We have never given the money. We always lend. The term is borrowing. Kwewola. Kali kukosa kigambo nti kuwa. Chiringanze bwena agamba sikafu ya yino ngizi. So that's a wrong concept.
Because also the recipients, but I will come to that. Okay. Because the recipients bring out that.
In terms of driving people out of poverty, let's not just look at the money that people borrow to invest and escape the poverty trap. Let's also look at certain other things that government is doing where people can get employment. I've already mentioned the policy of liberalization. Leaving that apart. Look at foreign direct investment. You have heard about government opening up, what are they called? Spaces for people to invest in. Yes. These are scattered in the different.
You have given them incentives, land and areas they can go and start their own projects.
Yes. It's called what? They're called, the word will come. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. And
like in Amanve?
Yes, industrial park.
Industrial park.
Yes, industrial park.
Industrial parks. So government has allocated some industrial parks in the different
regions, which is good, very, very good. And
let me give you the example of where I pass every day when I'm going to Jinja, my home. When you are driving through Namamve, you are driving through Mbarara, not you are Mbarara. Mbarara. You see a lot of industries that have been constructed there. And lots of young people getting employed in there. When I go through Mbale, before you enter Mbale town, there is an industrial park there, big one. A lot of industries have come up there. And this one you don't want to talk about. But young people are being employed in there. When I was growing up, there was only one university in this country. And that university was called Makerere University. And so, if you had to attain university degree or university education, you either had to go to Makerere or don't go there at all. That was the end.
Or don't go to university.
Don't go to the university. Unless your father, again, if your father was so rich, then they would take you either to Nairobi or they would take you to
South
London.
Africa, London,
You know. Now, we have over about 50 universities. And all these universities are skilling young people. They are educating them. That's one of the fundamentals of helping people escape the poverty trap. Now I know what you are thinking. You're going to say, okay, they are being trained. Are there jobs for them? It's better for you to be skilled or to be educated and have no job than being uneducated and you have no job. At least when you're educated, there are chances that you'll get the job someday. An opportunity will come up. Yeah? And so, to me, that's better. But also, I remember still when I was growing up, the people I would meet in lecture rooms, I wouldn't find a lecturer of your age. Yeah. Now you find lecturers, and some of them are already a doctor, has a PhD. They are young men and young women. People had to be bold with a beard that scares you. White. Whiter than mine.
Yes, sir.
And so, via the liberalization of education sector, and right from nursery, because even in nursery, people are investing in there. Yeah? You find people who have got opportunity to get employed via the education systems. Yes, you have heard about the man called Lawrence, the one who even has built for us a stadium. Yes, Mulindwa. But you have heard about all these universities around, those schools. You have heard about a man called Jesse Muyingo. You know about the schools that there is. All these schools have teachers. And majority of the teachers in there are below the age of 30. That's employment created. But also employment for others who could be slightly older than just 30. I talked to you about the sector where you are, the liberalization of communication and whatever. Majority of the people in there. But we don't want to talk about that. We want to only talk about Emioga. We want to talk about this. It's because all these are avenues for creating employment and making the country richer.
I was talking to someone about these government programs. Government exeza kuteka programs eziyambako abantu okujja mu bwabwe. Nangamba all these programs have the same script. Bakyusa bukyusa mannya naye nga script esigala etya esigala yemu. Kati ekibuuzo kyenjagala okubuuza.
I immediately disagree because the design of Emioga is not the design of YRP. The design of PDM is not the design of Operation Wealth Creation. I'll give an example. The aim of PDM is to upgrade the 39% Ugandans, which is equivalent to 3.5 households, which is equivalent 3.5 million households, which is equivalent to 17.5 million Ugandans, to upgrade them from subsistence agriculture and enter the money economy. That's much different from YLP. YLP was for young people to borrow the money. This one, the president has said this several times, that, you know, our generation should be the last generation that has peasants. That the peasants must be wiped out, not by killing them, but by upgrading them. So that's the aim of this intervention. Because, Lenya, it doesn't make sense for you. Year in, year out, you only produce for your stomach. But then you have to dress. You have to certain other basic necessities that you need that cannot be good from the soil. So if you just...
you need money.
You need money. And so this is what we are working on, to ensure that this is helped. And if we wipe out peasant agriculture, it also helps you. Mwichimanyi nti olusi mtu ya okugende wamwe ndikuwa bagenda kusabiriza. Naye bw'oba oddayo nga abantu buli omu alina akake.
tewaba byakusa
Eh,
naye ekibuuzo kyange kyabadde nti gavumenti ekola okunoonyereza okumala nga tennaba ku initiating these programs.
Yes. Research is done, but also it's also true that even when you are basing on research, waliwo certain things ebijja along the way as you are implementing. For instance, I think we didn't adequately capacitate the people at the parish level who are going to manage PDM,
Yes.
or who are managing PDM. Because you see, you need chiefs. You need chiefs, but what's their capacity? You need technocrats at that level. But remember that the government, seriously, has been going up to sub-county level. And so below there, you don't have the requisite human resource that is going to manage big amounts of money. And so that has been a problem.
Yes.
But also, I think sometimes we hurry. We should have planned much more, prepared the ground better. But then sometimes when you over prepare, you may not implement. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And perfect as you go along.
Yes, sir.
And so, does government research before? Yes, it does. Do we do adequate preparations? Sometimes yes, sometimes we do some preparedness, we do prepare, but sometimes it's not adequate. Do we still have, as a government, have some resource constraints? Yes, government has resource constraints.
Okay.
That sometimes you want to reach everybody. You want to reach Rian from Zambia, meet Mondo from Jinja, meet Karuhanga from Mbarara, meet the whatever from West Nile, meet whatever from Chisoro.
Yes.
But then sometimes the resource envelope is
The matter-
constrained.
It's true.
That's why also under YLP, which you have criticized rightly, that not all youth could access the money. It's true. Not all youth could access the money because the envelope was not inelastic.
That's
There was
exactly
little
what I'm
money
talking about.
vis-a-vis the people who need the money.
Yeah.
And colleagues. Then you also throw this in the spanner in the wheel,
Yes.
that until we learn to produce children we are capable of looking after as Ugandans, we are going to continue being poor. We are producing above the mark. And nobody gave you the responsibility
Yes.
of feeding, of producing and feed the world.
Yes.
You always mwekwasa Bible. Mu Bible agamba
Dr. Kyateeka kansooke nsomeyo message z'Abannayuganda wano mpola mpola.
zaala b'osobola bw'onosobola okulabirira.
Kubanga otandika okwogera ku by'okuzaala Bannayuganda bye baagala ennyo.
Gambye okuzaala okwala so
Kati tuyitemu wano ku message zaffe mwebale mwenna abatwekumiddeko paka essaawa zino. Tukyalina omwami bamuyita Mondo Kyateeka ava mu Ministry of Gender Commissioner ali in charge of the Youth and Children Affairs. So tugezaako okumulungulamu ku nsonga ezitawanya abavubuka mu ggwanga lino ate nga tutegedde nti maybe there are some a bit of inconsistencies ezibadde mu programs za government ate naye era agambye mbu n'akatono ke bakoze nako tusobole okuba nga tukasoosowaza kubanga nako weekali omukyala Leisa bwe bali kubanga otwekumiddeko agamba when you finish campus in Uganda you are on your own. Your parent is done with you. Your government embezzles your funds. Employers need you with 10 years of experience, which you're supposed to get from their job, but they cannot employ you without it. So, literally, if our youth doesn't figure out everything on their own, then they will start stealing and using drugs to forget about their sufferings, while others will leave the country to be slaves in other countries, or Uganda, the land that feeds us. Onalike ali poet. Ali mu poetry. Nabukenya Brenda, awebali kubango twekomideko agambye, thanks for the show. May God bless you, but dear abundantly always. Thank you so much for the blessing. Rita agamba, ayogedde ku passport, but my dear, they are mentioned at the passport office that you are a Munyarwanda. You will be pushed away even when Banyarwanda is a tribe in our constitution. Good morning, Digitalk team. Kindly inform Mr. Mondo that all the programs he has talked about have benefited like 30% of young people. Emisoso mingi. Emisoso mingi.
30% is not a small
But
number.
also the information about these programs is lacking. May there be need for more civic education. Chogeddeko ekintu kyewayogeddeko Mr. Mondo, that civic education is very, very pertinent. Oyina kyoyogera ku tutandikire ku lace up kya kugambye nti no Uganda tekyali Uganda eri. Oyina kweta Akulira bucha ovudde ku university paka kasita omuzadde w'amala okusomesa ye emikono abagikugyeko. Ate ne gyogenze kwegamba eggwanga bagamba lyo likaye terikyali lyeri ali.
Waliwo omwami gwe bayita Mark Twain, muwandiisi wa bitabo.
Yes.
Mark Twain yagamba, the world does not owe you a living. The world was there before you. Ne wabeerawo omusajja omulala yali president wa America.
Yes.
Nagamba, before you ask what government has done for you, ask yourself, what have you done
For yourself.
for yourself and for the government? I think those are pertinent things for us to reflect on. And that goes back to what I started with,
Yes, sir.
that we have a lot of entitlement mentality, thinking that we are entitled and things must find us where we are. Somebody saying that after university, then you become on your own. Yes, you have been given the education. Now you have to warp out there. Na nze jukiranga tugraduate ngabagamba mugende mu nsi gyobera tubadde tuli mu ggulu. Mugende mu nsi mujja giraba. They were preparing us. It was intimidating. It intimidates you, but that's when you start knowing, hey, now I have to live a non-programmed life.
Yes.
Nobody is going to be there to tell you you have a lecture. Or you don't be, you know, whether Osuma. Now you are out of that programmed life. So how do you manage on your own? How do you become a responsible person?
How do you learn to feed yourself?
Exactly.
Because I realized that growing up,
To pay your
the
rent.
biggest challenge you can find is to feed yourself.
Enda wafuluma ng'essomero nga distori assured omulimu ojja gufuna. Naye essaawa zino ofuluma n'otande actually omulimu ogusookerwako gwakunoonya ate mulimu. Gwe mulimu ogulinga ogusookerwako n'otambula.
Tudde ku kiri kyemwagala nkyogereko. We are producing at a rate higher than the growth of the country, the economy. The economy and population growth are not growing in tandem. So tuzaala nnyo naye economy tekula ku same rate. And therefore, we have so many young people being churned out of university every year. And those jobs eziriyo ntono.
Yeah.
There it becomes now a struggle. But also, I would agree that the level of counseling, career guidance, counseling and guidance, those things that used to happen, I think they are not happening the way they used to. Sometimes people have taken on courses simply because the courses were, they had names that are so attractive. Let me give you one course that I wanted to do. Up to now, I might do it in my evening. It is called Diplomacy and International Relations. Can you hear? It sounds so romantic. And you'd like immediately to be that diplomat. But the second question you should ask yourself, and so what? who is going to give me the job. If you are not employed in foreign affairs, then you have to maybe look for you any job in some of those whatever that are focusing on diplomacy and international relations. Very romantic. You all agree. But so when we are guiding our people, actually, I stopped asking people, my children, what they want to be in the future. The question should be, what problem do you want to solve?
Yes.
Because that's what is going to make you relevant. If you have a problem you are going to solve, and your focus is on preparing yourself to solve that problem. Then you immediately get the job.
Mr. Mondo,
because the problem will be there.
I realize these days youth don't know when I have vision. I'm going to give you an example. I have studied with people at the university, degree to Soma Maulidi, but this person cannot write a news story. Nenga muli musem journalism class. To some extent, nemu graduating amwena, naina agamba sina mulimu. But you cannot write a news story, a basics of journalism. Abaana bangi skill tebagina, I don't know, oba vision yetaliwo, oba echejo mwabakuza chinji, I don't understand. You're not going to have a person like, for example, like a Museveni, who can dream and say, I want to take over this country, and really come and do it and pull it off.
Parenting. Parenting has gone to the dogs.
Yeah.
The parents are no longer there in the lives of their children. Abantu bazalanga misota. And wazala. Naye ayanguwa mangu woba okoze ensobi to come and blame you. But in terms of guidance, I normally ask my colleagues, when is the last time you had dinner with your entire family? Because dinner time for us used to be a time of eating, right? But also instilling in you the norms and values that bind you together. I was visiting my child over the weekend, and she's a crowd puller. So there were so many girls who came to see Mondo's father. She's also called Mondo. And so they came. I was asking them things. 90% of all the girls who came to greet me, they didn't know their mother's language. And they were coming from across. It's a big school that brings so many children from rich families. So across, you find people from Bushenyi, you find people from Kenya, you find people from all over the country.
Yeah.
I also met 2 twins who are Kenyans. And I started talking Swahili to them. They said, sorry, Daddy, we don't know Swahili. I said, how? Then I asked somebody else who was a Muganda, who were here. I said, so, where did I? Ogambiachi? Where did I? Daddy, destiny. I don't know. So if these things are not being instilled into children, and you still want government to be there, I think as parents we should also take our blame, take our share. So there are certain things that are not happening simply because the institution of the family has died out.
In fact, that's where those things can be instilled, the first unit of society.
Exactly. Family. I'm also finding so many young girls who describe themselves, and proudly so, I'm a single mother. And I look at them and say, so what happened? Are you a Mary? Because it's only Mary who conceived without
a husband.
meeting a husband and produced Jesus. So when you find out, sometimes it's a one-night stand. Sometimes there are these girls who say, me, I just want to get my child. They are those.
Yes.
And some of them, they are right, that you men, you have made them to hate marriage because of the way you behave. Muna kuwada kana kikarunji ngalili yani. Notandiko katuntuza, notandiko kukuba. Mamitani?
Angel.
Angel. Angel. Bakuwadi Angel. simukubangako as a father gwe notandika okuba. The cost of domestic violence in this country is 77 billion annually. The cost of neglecting children in this country is 700 plus billion annually. Violence against children, neglect of children, all these are big amounts of money that we could be using on the bad roads that I have used to come here.
Okay.
And so we need to share the blame and be fair. Don't just apportion blame to one person. We now webuze nkoze echi kanziremu ekyoli kyogana. I get a experience. In government, entry into government, there is entry positions, and that's at officer level. They don't ask for experience. But when you want to enter at a level of commissioner, they will definitely want to ask you what experience you have. But also, some people have found a way, and this is another spirit that is dying among the young people. I always tell them, go and volunteer. As you are volunteering, you are acquiring some experience. It's also likely that when finally a job position occurs in the establishment where you have been volunteering, you will be taken over. And they don't want to do this because it's not within their DNA.
Yeah. Okay.
On the issue of Munyarwanda getting a passport, I was asking some young people that you talk about my right. It's my constitutional right. I asked them, how many of you have ever seen the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda? Then I asked, how many of you have touched the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda? And I asked, how many of you have actually read the Constitution of Uganda? And so where do you drive the authority to say this is my right? If you know you are right and you can stand by it, you say, yes, I'm a Munyarwanda, but I'm a Ugandan. And the tribe Banyarwanda is there within the Constitution.
Yes.
So you have no right to deny me the right to get my passport as a Ugandan Munyarwanda. You have no right. If it means we stand for your right. Don't be compromised because you know and you are sure it is. And if you are sure, and these people say, what are you talking about? Me, I was born here. There is no any country I know. I'm a Munyarwanda, but a Ugandan. But there is no way that somebody would rule. Then civic education, I said among the things we are introducing is the National Service Scheme.
Okay.
That will hype the level of civic competence of our people. Young people must know that they have a role to play.
Okay. Much
as they want to get a lot from the economy, they also have a lot to do with adding on the economy. As I say about Mark Twain, who said, the world does not owe you a living, the world was here before you. You have a duty to add on the beauty of this country. And that's why I normally ask young people to say, have you ever planted a tree? You have been enjoying avocado for years, mangoes for years. Those mangoes were planted by somebody.
Yes.
Why would you say, nze nsimba omuyembe guli kula ddi gwe gy'oli agwe wagisimba gusimbe nga bali abanajja basange omuvule
kati yasimba omuvule ye yali
naye yagusimba.
Mr. Mondo,
I think we should stop thinking selfishly and think that we owe this country, this beautiful country, something. Can you add on something to the world so that when you die, we say this is the legacy Lillian left?
Kale sebo. Edakika ziri 18 ziza kaita kusawa esatu ez'okumakya mwebali mwenna abatuwekumidde ku program bagiyita The Mighty Drive Show. Nze Edgar Matthew Karohanga ndi n'omwami Mondo Kyateeka n'omukyala Luwede Lillian okubanga tubaweereza. Tugenda kubanga tuwumulamu katono we tukomawo tukyalina ensonga nyingi zisobola okubanga tumulungula. Nze Edgar Matthew Karohanga, let's break now.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk.
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Less Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices, and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Less Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Less Up, craft your own footprints. Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704 11 1720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Enyo mukumulamu kwa The Mighty Drive ye program jogena maso n'okubanga ate olaba ssaawa ziri 3 n'eddakiika 23 tukyatambulira ddala kutukira ddala ku ssaawa 4 ez'amakya ag'olunaku olwaleero nga tukira ku nsonga ate ez'enjawulo ezikwatagana ku bavubuka n'ebirala bingi nnyo byotasaanidde kubeera nga ate osubwa. Tuli butereevu ku The Alternative Uganda Facebook page awamu ne Digitalk TV era nga gyemme kutukosobola okubanga ate otufunira endowooza zammwe ezisinga zibadde zisomeddwa naye tukyagenda mu maaso bwe bunaatuukira ku ssaawa 4 ng'ensonga ate zonna ze twabadde tulina olunaku olwaleero ze mwatusabye okuba nga twogerako munnaye tumaze okuba nga tuzimulungula era nga Mr. Mondo amaze okuba nga ate naye aziddamu bulungi nnyo. Nze omumbejja Luwedde Lilian ndi ne munnange Edgar Matthew Karuhanga n'omugenyi waffe ow'olunaku olwaleero Mr. Mondo Kyateeka bwe tugenda mu maaso n'okuba nga twogera ku nsonga zino zikwata ku bavubuka awamu n'eggwanga lyonna okutwaliza awamu. Naye njagala nzireyo ewuwe Mr. Mondo. Bw'otunuulira abavubuka watugambye dda tulina 78% of the population y'eggwanga lino. Naye ate ekikwewuunyisa nti era abavubuka ffe tusinza okuba nga tetufuluma eggwanga lino okugenda ebweru okunoonya greener pastures. Twakulaba tugamba emiti emito gye gigumiza ekibira naye gyawana emiti emito gye gisoose okufuluma. Ekibira tekikyaggumira olw'ensonga nti emiti emito munnange tegikyaliwo.
Okwongerako omwami abuuza ekibuuzo ekyo bamuyita Franklin Kamoga ali mu San Francisco mu United States yagambye ayogere ku baana abafuluma mu ggwanga lino
naye nga bwali
anti nachenga naye alumiruka bagenda mu kyombo ky'abawalabu ate siko yowa
yali San Francisco
yali San Francisco empewo za California zimfuwako
katandikire kuwa njagala eggwanga litegeere tulina engombe egamba nti abavubuka ba youth be ba majority. That's not true. The majority of the people in this country are the children who constitute 56%. Kirabune kugamba Lilian nti nno tufuuka 78 ng'ogasse abaana n'ogattako abavubuka. That's what makes that bulk. And so twagala abavubuka kugamba nti be basinga obungi. Aba children olw'ensonga eri gye ngambye nti mwe mutandika okuzaala temwebalira. Mulinga be baatuma okujjuza ensi naye ate oba ne mukama waffe Katonda yezaalira omwana omu gwe ani Edgar Mathew azaala 10
tulina National Planning Authority
omwana owa nasale kati yayingidde dda mu miliyoni nga 2 kati gwe bw'oba olina 10 ogenda basomesa otya ogenda baliisa otya. And that's part of the problem which is hindering our progress as a country.
Yes, sir.
We need to do more to do family planning. And that also is linked to the number of children who aspire to go out. Because we don't have adequate jobs for them. Because in the first instance, twazaala bangi. So, tetusobodde bonna bafune ki mirimu. And you cannot stop migration. Migration is as old as human beings. Lilian, yes, emiti emito kye gikumye ekibira but ojja kugaana muntu kukola ki kutambula. It's a right. When you got the constitution, it's a right. Somebody can decide to get out of the country. That's why people are entitled to a passport. Otherwise we wouldn't be having passports. So nayo otambudde olagawa ogenda kukola yoki era ogenzi otya. Tulina oyo wa San Francisco ayagala okuwulira kyendowooza. Tulina companies ezali registered and licensed okudealinga in labor externalization. We don't call it labor export because these are not goods bano bantu. We call it externalization of labor. Companies eziri era zirina obukwakulizo era tumalaziyo yotabulungi ne tutegeera kizigenda okukola ne tutegeera gye bavudde ne tulyoka tukola ki tubakkiriza ne tuba licensinga. Naye Abannayuganda twagala nnyo shortcut. Kyova olaba nti ne bw'otuuka mu compound ya munno gye yategeka obulungi ennyo erina ne bu path obulaga nti wano olina okuyita olaba oli ng'agirewo obubonge bwe ng'alinnya ku muddo gwa munne. Omuddo gwo oluusi ngufukirira okulaba nti gubeerawo naye ng'osalimbira mu muddo gwange kwegamba yagala kutuuka mangu wendi lwaki tokozesa kapaasi koolabye n'ontuukako. Shortcut.
Okwagala ebyamangu.
Shortcut at the end of the day they tend not to be cheap. They become very expensive. We have, and you know, stopped girls who have got out of Uganda and went through Kenya and they have been stopped at the airport, trying to smuggle themselves out of the country to go into conditions they don't fully understand. We have also told people, use these licensed farms. And we have also told them that don't go to countries where we don't have an MOU. Because where we have an MOU, tulina obukwakulizo bwe tuteekako, and we have tightened them. Ogambye twamaze okurenewinga si. Yes, with new terms. Into both our country and the host country, they have responsibilities to look after these girls and boys who go for cheyo in an organized manner. We have had attaches now in the countries where these children are going, the moment we have an MOU in the country. So we are improving this, knowing that we cannot stop it. Because also the remittances
Yes.
are high.
That's like
And we need that money.
it's the third most income generating aspect in our country.
So it will be foolhardy for us to stop it.
Yes.
The issue is how do we regulate it and how do we all, both the children going, the youth going, they are not children, the youth going, and the labor firms, externalization firms,
Yes.
but also the country that is going to receive.
But Mondo, have you done your job in making sure that you really critically look at these externalization companies? Because company tumanye is registered officially zilinga mbisatu, right? Around 300 they are officially registered and known by the government. But there are those that you know and you have from time to time bakutenga batwala abana mu mbere Italia
nga license tugikansolinga.
Ineyate abasinga mwatu mugamba license muzikansolinga naye basigala bakola.
We cancel them. And we have examples, I may not mention them here,
yes.
but a number of people who fault, they have a price to pay. You remember that they also have money that they keep in the bank for purposes of guaranteeing that they don't fault. And so where they need to be penalized, the money is already with the government. They have been penalized. And we don't give them a second chance.
We don't
because
see those
the
things.
terms,
Maybe you penalize
the terms
in secret.
under which they are engaged are so clear. And once you fault, these are human beings. These are people's children. You can't joke around with lives of Ugandans. And we tell them this.
ebiseera ebisinga gavumenti egenda okusitukiramu ng'olwedde waliwo obuzibu obuguddewo nti oba kampuni eno yatwala omwana ebweru n'afuna obuzibu ne bagitabukira nnyo, that is when government wesitukiramu okugamba nti okay eno kampuni tugenza oginoonyerezaako ng'ate teri registered oba terina license kutwala abantu bweru.
Ebeera na one in the company.
We were registered, we are not responsible for the unregistered because they are not supposed to do what they are doing.
But it is your job, Mr. Mondo,
they are
to
criminal.
Look for them. At least muzigale, muzinonyerezeko.
Bwe wenkusanga mu theater nga you are operating a person, they should arrest you.
Yes, sir.
Because toli musawo. You are a journalist. So we were a firm nga toli registered to do the job, you are not supposed to do it. If you do it, you are doing it ultra-viously. And therefore you should be punished.
Yes, sir.
But let me tell you, these firms, they go through a rigorous screening, including getting letters from the Director General of ISO and ESO.
And it is where the companies are abali mu government. Most of those companies.
Ekyo gwo kimanyi.
Anti tuze kubulyanga mu
namawulire.
I am not asking you.
I have no evidence. I don't know.
Sir, I am informing you
but
that
also,
most of these companies belong to folks you are working with, folks you are serving with in the government. Bemusingo kuwereza nabo sibo.
But also, I don't remember.
Atite bakwatibwa.
I don't remember in the public service code whether public servants are not supposed to do business. I will investigate. But I think they are.
They are Ugandans.
Because
the problem is they bend the rules to favor them, which has been a common phenomenon in this country.
Then we have to blame the people.
They bend the rules because Kati Amazima.
You have to blame the people, not the system.
Let's just imagine hypothetically that your minister is having an externalization firm. And maybe Mondo is supposed to kulabiliza nga kalabilizi zino zikola bulungi n'ogwa ku farm nga ya mukulu nga ya signing a paycheck yo onasobola ogamba kanjigalewo nga te minister akutunulidde bwati
nze Mondo I will.
Mondo,
I'm employed by the public service. I'm employed by the public service. I'm not employed by the minister. I'm not. And so my entire thing goes to the Public Service Commission. Not the minister. Ministers come and go. And so if the minister is going to make me do a wrong thing,
yes, sir.
I have to ask my conscience and say, is my conscience right? Is what she's telling me to do right? And if internally I find it's not right, I will not do it. I think we need to reach that far. Because you see, Karuhanga,
yes, sir.
After you have done it, nejiwunya, bakulekayo, bakwegana. So you have to learn. Not that the manager of this station will tell you to come here and start abusing the president. And you also do, and you say, bakulekayo. So people should differentiate between institutions and individuals. What individuals want is not necessarily the right thing.
What are you just saying these
And
things for the camera?
No.
Because the reality on ground, we know it that on ground is that the code of conduct you're talking about will not work practically. It is omanyani. Mondo yayogera nani okutuuka wano wali. Omuntu oyo alina ky'amaanyi nnyo ky'asobola
And unless we change that thinking, you know, the word impossible is what should I call it? Is you know, something that is your thinking. It's not the truth to say tekisoboka. Bintu bingi bisoboka. Naye osanga omuntu ng'agamba impossible is because takirabangako. We tend to have that limitation. Yes, sir. It's a mere fragment of your imagination. That kino tekibangawo, tekisobola kubaawo. Naye if all of us stood by our principles, yes, if internally we have something that is not for selling, that you cannot sell it, nogamba nze luwedde, nze teddy nawukeera, kino sisobola kikola. People will come to learn nti bw'oba oyogera ku bintu ebyokuba nti oyagala luwedde ajje ku Sunday akole oba ku Saturday wabeera mu 7th day enzikiriza temukkiriza era tajja kikola. Principle. Twalina Prime Minister, interestingly, he had taught me at the university, the late Professor Apollo Robin in Sibambi. His lectures were at 8 o'clock, and at 8 he would be in the lecture room. Even when he came to serve in government, still we knew that if you invite the Prime Minister of Uganda and you say you invited him at 11 you better start the function because he will be there anyway. And so tumanyi nti bana Uganda bakuuma budde. Actually that's where I got it from, that me I try as much as possible to keep, and I told my driver, you know, we are moving by this time, so be ready. We are going to a studio somewhere in Machindi. And so we made it here in good time. Yes. And so we should have examples. There's another who is again late Jacob Olanya, who was another good friend of mine. He was also had a patent for keeping time. Yeah. And so contrary to what Ugandans believe that people don't keep time, you say a function is going to start at 9, I say, bagambye 9. You're sawa 5. And so somebody comes at 10.
Kusatu kwazu.
And has no sense of shame. And everybody starts, I'm sorry I'm late. There was a lot of jam.
It rained.
I think unless in Europe sometimes it rains for a week. Every day. So will you not work? As well. Will you not work for a week? What are you going to eat? Company ya tatawu. Nebele ya tatawu na ya kugoba.
Mr. Mondo. Njogedde ku bavubuka okugumiza ekibira kyo kinagumira ddi nga greener pastures ziri wabweru wa Uganda. Tine bali badde waneeno. Abamu bagezaako kukola businesses naye ate emisolo egibeerako ne gibalemesa oli n'agamba wayi kangende ebweru at least yo emisolo si mingi nnyo tebakuggyako mingi nnyo okusinga nga wano mu Uganda gye bakuggyako.
Within the National Youth Policy of Uganda of 2016 and its National Action Plan, the policy proposes that young people who start a business should be given tax holiday for a specified period of time to enable the business to stand, grow, then they are able to
start taxing.
This has not yet taken root, but it's something that we are aware of. Yes, because in many cases that has crippled the youth businesses. That's why they say that Ugandans have a keen mind in starting businesses, but many of them don't live to see their first birthday.
Sad.
The mortality rate is so high. And so we are aware of it. And one of the things we think is that we should exempt the youth businesses for maybe 5 years. They get the muscle and still we are bent on it. But also in terms of supplies, we are saying that in procurement, we should have a certain percentage that is reserved for the young people managed enterprises, so that they have the capacity to compete and supply. Because government is the biggest spender. If you're not doing business with government, it's very unlikely that you can make ends meet. These big enterprise, everybody does business with government. We are the best consumers, even food. We have prisons, we have police, we have the army, I have Remani homes, you know.
Yes.
You know, I have Remani homes. I have campings where some of you missed to go while you were young. Teddy, I can take you there so that you can. Yes. All these are consuming things. And so, if we can reserve a certain percentage, Kenya has done it. I think Uganda, we cannot be very different. We can. And that is to hope the younger enterprises grow, they get the teeth, and they are able to pay the taxes later.
Kale, waliwo ono message jinjagala nkusomere omwami Ethan Mwine yakubuza ekibuuzo agambye, Mr. Mondo, thank you for your time. I want to ask though, what are you as a commissioner for youth and the ministry altogether doing about incentivizing the businesses owing to the high unemployment rates? We have a big small medium enterprises constituency, majority of them owned by youth. What is it that must be done to counter this problem and create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive?
That's what we have been talking about here.
Unfortunately, then ono yabuziza agambye, so he is saying the government's National Planning Authority has failed to plan for its people in line with the increasing numbers and the high birth rates. I'm going
immediately after this meeting, I will be sharing with Dr. Joseph Mvara, the Executive Director of National Planning Authority, to say that you are failing in your duty. You should know that Ugandans are so fertile. They produce at that rate. So plan at that rate.
President
up to 63, which is a good thing, that with improvement in the health sector, some improvement in the health sector, people are living longer, but that should not replace the fact that we have a very young population that is dependent on a few. If you truly come from true African families, you're going to find that you people, it's possible you don't have children yet, but you could be paying school fees already. For some people, some people's misbehavior, you come in to cushion them. And so some of them also take advantage that if Ted is going to pay for this one, then I should produce another. And so they continue unabated. And that explains why the situation can be worrying. That I will continue talking about this. Whether people like it or not, it is important that people produce only the children they can afford to look after. Why is it that people who are real rich, they don't have many children? How many children did Mrana leave?
2.
How many children does Gordon have? They're about over 5. Yeah, that still is okay for the type of person we are talking about. But how many children does Sudhir have? Yeah? How many children does Mbire have? How many children does this man of Protea have? Yeah? I mean, people should. I'm told that the people who are poor produce so many because their only source of entertainment is sex. Yeah. And so while some of us are watching TV, for them they're already sleeping by time 8 o'clock. They eat using the sun when the sun is still up, and by 8:10 they're already in bed. And so they think their function, their duty is produce. But I told you, if God himself produced only one child, Jesus Christ, Why should you?
Mr. Mondo yajja kugamba ffe waffe batuzaala abaana 12 oba batuzaala 2 mu bana kati bwabanga musajja azaala 2 mu bana nze nzaala 12
ogwo gwali mulembe
bonna bali bulungi.
waliwo abali obulungi.
Okay, but that was then. But now, now that you know that even nursery has gone up to 2 million, a good nursery school, and the nursery school builds the foundation of the human being. If a child is not looked after in the first 1,000 days of growth, you have lost it. In terms of becoming genius, you have lost it. Lydian, the first 1,000 days, and those about 3 years, they're extremely vital. That's when the brains are forming. That's when the neurons are connecting.
So
that's what makes feeding kyekikola obwongo. Kati bw'oba tumufeedinze bulungi obwongo busigala openinga nga bulina gaps. And that person bw'aba baddamu ebibiina emirundi mingi omwana takwata ekibwamu ng'agamba nze nawe okusoma kuntawaanya kangende nkole ki nfumbirwe. And that's why we emphasize in the National Integrated Early Childhood Development Policy that even breastfeeding, 6 months exclusively breastfeeding, and up to a minimum of 2 years of breastfeeding. Omuyonsa.
Emyezi omukaaga ayonke buyonsa.
Yonke buyonsa totekako supplements, then giri emirala yongerako. But it's also okay if you have time to breastfeed up to 3 years. I was breastfeed beyond 3 years because I'm the first boy of my mother, and my mother was looking for a boy, and so I had advantage of being breastfed well. I don't get sick like other people get sick every other day because I was well breastfed. And that partly can explain also my size. Don't mind. And so, if we have these teenagers learn to produce children, but also breastfeed them and look after them, but they are scared about their boobs looking down. And so, it's a problem. You know, you cannot eat your cake and have it. If you have decided to produce, then do things that mothers do.
Mr. Mondo, ensonga eziri mu abavubuka tuzogeddeko ezimu naye tetusobola kuzimalayo. Biki ebyo ministry byeteekateeka okubakolera mu bbanga lino okutuukira ddala bwe tuliddiramu okufuna baminisita abapya?
Lwaki mwagala baminisita abapya? Baminisita bakyali.
Kubanga tulina ababba amabaati. Kijja kyogerako tosobola kubimanya.
That is above my paycheck. That's above my paycheck.
Let me not put you on the spot, sir. It is well.
But well, I've already hinted on the issue of a national service scheme. We are bent on the national service scheme. The mindset of the people, that's what I didn't tell you. A national service scheme provides avenues for changing the minds of people to think in a different manner. Not to look at you as Ruwedde Muganda, but to look at you as a Ugandan. And either my sister or my daughter or my cousin or my whatever. Not to look at you and I judge you that you are Yaruhanga, so you are Mnyankore, and therefore what? I'm a Ugandan. That unity is what is going to help us. The other where we are putting a lot of our resources is the issue of reigniting the family system. We are coming up with the family policy. Within a few months, this policy is already before cabinet for discussion. We are coming up with a family policy. We want to make the family of Uganda a family again, where people are responsible and they are not IDPs. You know IDPs? Internally displaced parents. We want parents who are there for their children.
Yes, sir.
That's the other. We are also finalizing some kind of a training manual on parenting. Because we have realized that not everybody who becomes a mother or a father becomes a parent.
Many of them have not been fathered, they've not been mothered, so they don't even know what to do.
You see, so there is a problem in there. So we are teaching, we want to teach people how to parenting. You take it for granted that whoever produces can be a parent. That's not so.
Trainings.
Trainings.
nsobola okikola bali ne bwe sikikola.
Abaana Uganda lwaki mwagala nnyo everything tubaforcing ebuforcing. Ekiwuka ekiri mu mutwe gw'omunayuganda sometimes weewunywa. Why do you want to be forced mu kiraba kirungi?
Anti kakati oli ajja kugamba nze kati nze mama nze taata. Obudde bwe nali baze mu kuyiga okuparenting nsobola okumala nga noonya sente zigenda okulabirira abaana.
Well, nabyo twabyogeranga nga tunawagenda kusoma nga tugamba mbu ebitabo bimenya kali gw'omanya oba ebitabo bimenya okusinga emigugu gye weetikka mu kikuubo olw'okuba tewasoma oba you would have decided
so
to
you
dream.
choose your hand okyusa ki ekikumenya menye bwe ebitabo oba menye okusitula emigugu.
So really, it's a two-way. We are dealing with adults who can take a choice, take a decision. We want to ride on the understanding that these are mature people. They will understand that there are certain things that are challenging them. And if they understand that this is a good thing to do. For instance, let me tell you, we have so many malnourished children. It's not because we are short of food, but parents, some of them don't know how to feed the child. Somebody believes that when you put omuwunga notekako ebijanjalo bingi akaana nekaya akabuto nekatukeeri, that's proper feeding. That's not. They tell you in nutrition that you should have about, I think, 7 colors on your plate, and that will constitute a balanced diet. These are things that you have to teach these people. Telling somebody that, you know, it's not good for you to breastfeed a child nga we know tuyanye tunabyeko, you know, lineko umwana agenda kulya bikyama. Now we wait okunaaba engalo before you breastfeed a child. These are things, simple things, but which I think are very important. As to whether we are forcing people or we are going to force them, we shall cross the bridge when we reach the lake.
Okay. Waliwo ensonga endala gye tuleeseeyo ekwatagana ku programs mwine
abavubuka? A program endala gye tuliko which we are trying to finalize is the sexuality education guidelines for especially out of school. We did the sexuality education framework for the in-school, but now we have big numbers of children out of school. What guides what they do and how they do it. We are finalizing that, inshallah, before Youth Day. Youth Day normally is on when?
I don't remember. Wait.
Steady?
National Youth Day. I'm just forgetting it.
And your youth. Every 12th August is International Youth Day. It's a day dedicated by the UN to look into issues of young people, their programming, etc. So we think that by that time we would have finished sexuality education for the out of school. And it's more needed now than even yesterday.
What are you going to
vis-a-vis when you look at what's happening now, homosexuality and all these other issues, and you ask me, you are right to ask, what are we going to tell them? There are lots of things. But most of them is about their growth, changes in their growth, but also how to relate, issues to do with how pregnancy comes and why and when it should. Issues to do basically with guiding young men, young women on how to relate, but also it will help us to check teenage pregnancy. Right now, a quarter of all the children produced in this country are a result of teenage pregnancy. 25% teenage pregnancy rate, one of the highest in East and Central Africa. You also want to know that 46% of all the pregnancies in this country is unplanned. It just happened that Lydian met with Edgar the other night. Maybe it was a one-night stand, and then Lydian will call and said, Edgar, do you know, I missed. And now Edgar sensing it was, you missed what? And the rest is history. So 46% of all the children in this country are not planned. We want to have a country where every child counts. Every child must count, and every child must be planned for. And that will make sense for all of us. It doesn't help us to go into production of these very precious people when we are not ready. So there's a lot within this
Mr. Mondo tetusobola kumalayo byonna ndoozi era twala omukisa osiibulire ddala abakulabye kuba akadde katuweddeko.
Njagala okwebaza mmwe mwenna ababadde batuwuliriza nammwe mwenna ababuuziza ebibuuzo. Ndowooza nti nno tusobodde okukola kye tusobodde. Omwami n'omukyala bano banandamu ne bampita nja kukubawo ate twogere kuki ku birala kuba ebisoomooza bingi tetusobola kubyogerako mu programu emu ne tubimalayo. Naye njagala kwebaza station yano studio olw'okukola omulimu ogw'ettendo mubalabye bona abavubuka manager amulabye muvubuka. And so this is what we are talking about, that can we see young people taking opportunities as they come, take them, use them to your advantage and escape the poverty trap. Obwavu buluma tetwandagadde muvubuka yenna yekuumire mu bwavu. Ekisembayo kimutagala kuwuliriza muzaala abaana be musobola okulabirira. Mwebale nnyo mwewalire ddala.
Ku nsonga eyo nnyini olwo wagambye mbu truth is bannange abaavu bazaala. I have had people say mbu give birth. Every child comes with their blessings, they will grow. Abaana bajja kukula.
That's a fool's way of thinking
Oh
about
God,
it.
you just call
Every child must be planned before.
Were you planned for, Mr. Mondo?
I was planned before. I told you, I'm the first boy of my mother. My mother had produced two girls.
Wow.
And you know African women, they are always they want a boy. So I think she was
For
looking
you now, you were
a
planned.
boy, that the boy comes in, and so
There are legends like
I was very
Ted,
planned.
like me who
But
are not
if
planned.
Edgar, you were firstborn. Are you a firstborn?
No, the second one.
Yeah,
The
for me,
second.
I'm the
Teddy,
first.
are you your firstborn? The possibility that you were born by mistake are so high.
Exactly.
Yes, they're
That's
so
why
high.
I said me and Ted, at least we know we are not planned. But again, thank you so much for watching. It's been a privilege having you, Mr. Mondo, here. It's a privilege. Thank you so much. Leah, thank you so much. And of course, thank you so much to our viewers who have been watching us from the time we started up to today. Today we'll have the diaspora link happening at 5 p.m. Please do tune in. And of course, we are Digitalk TV. In case you want to advertise with us, feel free to log on to our social media platforms at Digitalk TV on Facebook, at The Alternative Uganda on Facebook. My name is Edgar Matthew Karohanga. Enjoy your evening.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.